140 days. That's how long it took my client Alex to go from zero to his first 20K month selling on Amazon, doing Amazon wholesale. Guys, Alex's story is great. He's a father, he's a husband, he works a 9 to 5, he builds this on the side, and his business is at 20K a month after only 140 days starting from zero. No e-commerce background, no skills of any kind around this business model, never sold a single dollar on Amazon. 140 days later, now he has brand direct partnerships. His business is growing insanely fast. Guys, I can't wait for you guys to watch this interview. You have to keep in mind throughout this interview, and we get into all of these topics, but Alex started in the exact same Amazon FBA climate that you're starting in right now, with the 100-unit ungates, with suppliers not wanting to work with Amazon sellers, with suppliers rejecting you. All of the same things that everyone goes through. And he talks about how he's actually close to not even starting the business model just based off of what he was hearing online. Luckily he did. 140 days later, after joining the mentorship program, he is sitting at a 20K month and not slowing down whatsoever. Let's get into exactly how he was able to do that right now.
So I'm from Illinois, father of 4. My wife. Currently, I work at a auto dealership. I'm a parts manager. And really what got me into Amazon was I've always wanted to start my own business. End of last year, beginning of the year, me and my son, we got a 3D printer and we started stuff on Etsy. And that kind of kickstarted the mindset of, let's start a business. It wasn't Amazon, but it was something, right? Since then, we took all the money that we made from Etsy. We're still doing it now, but we took all the money that we made on Etsy and we bought inventory for Amazon. And then it kind of kickstarted everything. And ever since then, we haven't used a dime from our own pocket. It was all from that initial business, and it kickstarted everything. And thank God everything so far has gone good, but that's really what kicked everything off. And we just can't stop anymore. We just have to keep going. We want financial freedom. I want more time with my kids, with my wife. And it seems like Amazon is the thing that's going to give us that freedom. I know we have to grind a little bit right now, but it's going to pay off. And it seems like it's paid off so far, honestly. Especially your course has paid itself off 100%. I'll tell you that. The content in there is like, it's a gem. I still go back to, I just went back to it the other day to look at a course that I needed to, relook at. And everything in that module is perfect, man. Honestly.
It just speeds everything up for you. It's like just think about this, like how long would it have taken you to figure out this business on your own if you didn't have the program?
Sheesh. I was on that YouTube hamster wheel for quite a while until I found your videos, and everything clicked. After like the first module, I was like, okay, everything he's saying, if I implement it and I do it the way exactly how he's saying, I shouldn't have any issues. As long as you put in the work, you're going to get results. If you don't put in the work, you're not going to get anything out of it. And honestly, yeah, I was on that YouTube hamster wheel for quite a while. It would probably taken me, I probably wouldn't have started, honestly.
Yeah. Because
there was a lot of negative about everything's gated, or, your account's going to get shut down. And there was a lot of negative that I was seeing. And your course really brought out the positive in what it could be.
Yeah, I think, I don't know why the Amazon space is like this, like the Amazon community. They freak out first, and then they don't really take the time to really digest what is going on. Are these changes that bad? But most of the time, it's the loudest people in the room who don't have that much experience, and they have the least to lose. And then for some reason, they're the loudest ones, crying about everything that's going on. And it's like most of the time, and maybe it's just because I've been around for so long in this space, it's like most of the time there's a workaround, or it's not that big of a deal. Right. Yeah. Or it's like a temporary thing because you just started. So let's go into gating. But first, tell us what are your highest rolling 30 days right now?
Right now, my highest rolling 30 is a little bit under 20. So 19.5. I just checked 30 minutes ago, but 19.5. Okay.
And how long did it take you to get there?
About 140-ish days.
Okay. So it took you 140 days starting from zero, and you're doing Amazon wholesale, right?
At the moment, yes.
Okay. Well, when you were starting out, there were still gating issues. There were still 100-unit requirements. There was still everything that everybody is essentially is preventing them from starting the business model, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same
so the
stuff I kept seeing.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing, right? But the difference was that you're like, okay, well, let me kind of think for myself and get away from all of this noise, and let me see if maybe it'll be hard to figure it out on my own, but if I have a blueprint and a mentor, maybe I can get a little further along. And dude, you've grown so fast. I know you started with arbitrage and you quickly moved into wholesale, but you were dealing with the exact same things that everybody else deals with, but yet you were able to still overcome it and build this great business. Now you're doing 20K a month. And I think by the time I post this interview, you'll probably be at 30K a month.
Hopefully. Well, not hopefully. I know I will. I just got to put in the work,
Yeah.
Keep
So
doing.
talk to me about your journey. Like, cause you did start with arbitrage, correct?
I did, yeah, like discount stores and that quickly it worked, but I quickly learned that it just doesn't fit my lifestyle, having, 4 kids and a wife and stuff. It didn't work for me, so I switched on to OA, and that fit a little bit better with my lifestyle because I could just order stuff and, source online whenever I had time after work. My lunch, stuff like that. It became way easier and it just became like second nature to start sourcing. From there, I started moving more into the wholesale because in my regular 9 to 5, that's really more what I'm used to. And that transitioned into it pretty well. Believe it or not, right now at the moment, I only have 2 SKUs. And last month, all that was from just 2 SKUs. So
wow, yeah, that's the dream. Wow, yeah.
Luckily, I got 2 brand direct deals, and those have kicked off amazing so far. And hopefully, it keeps going. And the relationship that I have with my reps keeps growing because they're making money, I'm making money, everybody's happy.
Yeah, yeah. How was your experience with the because a lot of times when people go into wholesale, they're like, well, no supplier wants to work with Amazon sellers, and obviously you're proof that they do. So kind of, did you deal with any of that? Or because I fall into the belief exactly what you just described. They're making money, we're making money. As long as that relationship is good and it's beneficial for everybody, it's like, why wouldn't they want to add on another account? So have you experienced any of that?
Yeah, I actually got hung up on by a few brands that just cold called. I asked them, can I open up a wholesale account with you? And I didn't even tell them I was an Amazon seller. I think that's the worst thing that you can do is tell someone you're an Amazon wholesaler because they'll right away just shut you down. You have to present yourself like a value. What value do you bring to them? But at the end of the day, really, it's about how much money you're going to spend with them.
Yeah.
But I think one important thing to bring up is you can have all the money in the world to spend, but if you don't spend it on the right products, it's just a dud. You're going nowhere with it. You could be picking something that sells $10,000 or 10,000 times a month, but if you don't look at that Keepa data correctly and you bring in all this product, you're stuck with it because you're never going to sell it. You have to make your choices accordingly. And especially in wholesale, because that $100 mistake that you would have made in RA in wholesale, dude, that is like times 100.
Yeah.
And I almost experienced it because I was about to be stuck with like 300 units that I got regated in. Fortunately, I was able to ungate myself again, but that would have been really bad.
Yeah, that's why I recommend starting with arbitrage if you're brand new. And maybe you can speak to that because I know you started with arbitrage and maybe that gave you a little bit of confidence. But the big thing is you are able to gain experience, make money, and grow, but you are taking on less risk because like it's exactly what you said, like $100 mistake. Yeah, you make $100 mistake, you learn the lesson, right? $10,000 mistake, you're learning the same lesson. One is just much more expensive.
Yeah. And I made a mistake in the beginning with RA. I had bought some, it's a really funny story. I had bought some potatoes from like Ollie's or something. And dude, the shipping on that stuff was like $90 after they got ordered. And I was like, okay, I'm never doing that again. I'm not getting anything heavy like that. And really watching what I'm doing with shipping. I had no clue what shipping was going to cost. But from here on out, I like to, whenever I get an order that's in some place that I have never shipped to, I like to like punch in dimensions and weights and write them down. And that way I know how much it could be maybe if I shipped over there, with common box sizes and stuff. And I write them down and I keep them in a notebook. And that way I know in the back of my mind when I'm sourcing, hey, it might cost this much when I ship it out. And then when I source, I plug it in. And if now I know what it could be if I had to ship to California, because California is super expensive to ship to from me, or Florida or Washington. So I like to punch in a whole bunch of information when I get those types of orders and keep them in the back of my mind for the future. So I don't make that mistake ever again.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's like, it just goes to, you learn that same lesson and then you carry it over to wholesale, but it didn't cost you a ton of money. Like I had a guy a couple months ago, or in July, maybe like 2 months ago, he was going to do a 34K wholesale order. And I was able to stop him in time, luckily, because it was either going to shut his account down or he was going to lose his entire investment. And It's like, wholesale is great. Wholesale is an amazing business model. It's like, but you just don't want to run headfirst into it. Take your time, getting some experience, and then you can grow. I mean, just like you did.
Yeah, especially over leveraging money you don't have. That can be risky too. Currently, I'm done ordering for the month. I'm waiting on all my money to come back and then just reinvest it and buy what I know has already sold and what is selling.
Are you doing a lot of FBM, FBA and FBM, or like are you focusing on one or the other?
So the one out of the two products that I have, I initially sent. Well, actually, I sent 2 pallets of both products, and I quickly realized that palletized shipments is way longer in processing than SPD. So I did the initial FBA, and then after I realized how long it took, I bought a whole bunch and just shipped everything FBM. And FBM has been like a cheat code for wholesale because, dude, I've been able to flip as soon as it comes in, it's gone. Like the product is gone the next day, and it's FBM is crazy, honestly.
Yeah, I always say that FBM is a cheat code for growth and experience. Because like, especially with wholesale, a lot of people think like wholesale, like the dream scenario, and I completely understand this is exactly what I did for a long time. It's like you get the inventory, you ship it straight to Amazon. I never have to touch it, right? It's more of that like laptop lifestyle kind of thing. But if you have the time or the opportunity to do some FBM with wholesale and something that's selling really fast, dude, and especially like once we get closer to like Q4, back to school, same thing. It's like you can get a lot of units all at once. And sometimes they sell out same day. And it's like, well, now you just have to wait 2 weeks to get your inventory back instead of waiting 6 weeks. Hopefully your stuff has sold, processed, and all that stuff. But yeah, I think FBM, if you have the time and the energy for it, dude, it's a hack for sure.
Yeah. And then you don't have to deal with Amazon possibly packaging your stuff incorrectly. And then it gets to the customer damaged, or, they don't receive the units that you sent, which is what I'm going through right now. They're missing like 40 units. So it's not something I would deal with if I just shipped it myself. And I know like quality control is way better if you do it yourself because you know what you packed in there and how you packed it. It's just better for the customer, better overall.
Somebody watching this who wants to get into Amazon wholesale, what would you say is like a good first step? I think the biggest things that are kind of holding them back is the rejection that we talked about earlier, which you dealt with. But is there something like you see that people are making a big mistake with wholesale that's kind of preventing them from actually seeing some results?
I would say taking the rejection personal. You got to think about, as a brand, you're probably getting like thousands of calls a day from Amazon sellers asking to have a wholesale account with them. You really have to differentiate yourself from them. Not take it personal when they do say no, but if it's this easy for you to get an account on the first try, that's probably not somebody that you want to work with. If it takes a little bit of work to open up an account with them, then maybe that is somebody that is worth checking out their product list, and the products that they sell might be less congested in as far as like FBA sellers and FBM sellers. And definitely don't take it personal. Just keep trying is what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happens. It's already hard enough. Like for somebody, like for you, it's probably a little bit easier because you're in that line of work. But for somebody who doesn't cold call at all, it's like nerve-wracking, right? And then you get that rejection, or they hang up on you or whatever. And it's like, it's not, oh, that sucked. It's, oh shit, I suck, So then they take it so personal, and it makes it really hard to hit the phones. But I think that's one of the biggest things that stops people. And it's easier for them to say, oh, suppliers don't want to work with Amazon sellers, than to say, oh, I called 3 suppliers and they told me no, and I got nervous about calling a 4th. So I'm just going to say it doesn't work. I think that's what ends up happening.
Yeah, you get in that self-doubt. You get a lot of self-doubt. Like, man, am I saying something wrong? Do I sound weird on the phone? But like I said in the beginning of our call, it's how do I say it? You can't doubt yourself. If it's going to be worth pursuing, you have to keep trying. You just have to keep trying.
Yeah, I like to say that I'd rather take somebody who has delusional self-belief than somebody who just overthinks every single action that they're going to take. And maybe they have more resources and maybe they're more experienced or whatever. They seem like they're going to be the person who's going to really grow. But if somebody just comes in with delusional self-belief, obviously realistic about the path, they usually end up working out because they just like, this is going to be worth it. Like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make it work. And the rejection just kind of slides off their back instead of like they internalize it and they make it really hard to just keep going, keep hitting the phones. I wanted to ask you, you're growing really quickly. You're pretty much at a 20K month, and I think you're going to be past that here soon. How was it throughout your journey? Because I'm assuming you didn't show up and then, no mistakes whatsoever. You just found a bunch of products and then you quickly turned into wholesale kind of, and then made it work. Like, tell me some of those mistakes that you made in the beginning that maybe somebody else can avoid.
A lot of the mistakes that I was making was trying to go for the big brands. I quickly learned that that's not, Amazon is so big, you don't have to go towards Nike, Adidas, Reebok, Columbia, all those brands. You really do not have to do that. Go for the tiny brands, the ones with the 10 unit on gates, and you should have, there's so many. There's so many to go after, and all you need to do is make a few sales, and you start getting ungated and other things. The worries of ungating go away after a few hundred sales. And then also, I would say in the beginning, I was so worried about like invoices, when really Target is like probably one of the easiest invoices to get. And I was so worried about like submitting an email confirmation. Once I realized that a lot of the Amazon stuff is automated, I was like, dude, I'll just get 10 units from Target, return it, and you're fine. I think a lot of people overthink that portion of it. And some mistakes that I made were ordering stuff ahead of time before I had it in my hand. And naturally, especially with wholesale, I did this like 2 weeks ago. I ordered something and it wasn't here yet. It actually got delayed. So I had orders already pending in Amazon, and I didn't even have the product. So it was selling already, and I was like, it's not going to be late. I'll be fine. But now I know not to do that. I have it in my hand. Do I sell it? I was putting like a 2-3 day handling time to cover from when it came in, and I could, send it out. But that was probably a big mistake that I did. And that was recent, even though I've been on there for 6 months, I would say a small mistake. Luckily it came in, but a day late. But that could have been bad if I had 60 orders pending, not to get,
that would have been really bad.
Not to get too confident, because things change all the time.
Yeah. I think those are great points. A lot of gems in there. The Target, dude, I hear once a week that Target doesn't work anymore. Email confirmations don't work. It's like, just because you get rejected once doesn't mean it doesn't work. It still works. And it's like, it's better to go get 10 units from Target than to place a big wholesale order for the same ungate. Let's get the ungate first, and then let's go. And then, I would have been stressing if I would ever do like that, what you were just describing, listing it up, FBM, the units are not here. You never know. What if you did get 60 units? You have to cancel all of them. It's like, oh, fuck, But luckily, I mean, luckily it worked out for you. But the thing with the ungates, it's like, if you just stay persistent, because now I remember, you did say like it's not as much of an issue now for you at this stage. And it's like, it's really not that much of an issue after you get past the first couple thousand in sales. It's just like, it's this big hurdle in the beginning because Amazon doesn't trust you. Amazon doesn't know you. You're brand new, and they have all of these issues going on with brands or with people just not selling right on the platform that we don't see, right? We think we're just so focused on our business, but they have all of these issues on the back end with a bunch of sellers. So they're like, we don't trust these people, and we need to build trust. And once we do, ungating gets significantly easier, because obviously most of the people dealing with the ungate issue, it's just people starting out, right? So it's like, if you're just persistent enough and you make some sales, it will get easier and easier and easier. And it's like, you're living proof. Like, we had a guy, I just interviewed him last week, and he's in the program. He hit a 10K month in 46 days, right? And it's like, he can't hit a 10K month in 46 days if ungating is impossible, right? Alex wouldn't have been able to hit a 20K month in a couple of months if ungating was impossible. It just seems like you're gated in a lot because you're brand new. It's like, oh, I remember now. You said you focused on the small brands. That's what I wanted to know. Yeah, you focus on the small brands and you stayed away from the massive brands. Most of the time, when people come into Amazon, they got hooked with a video or a reel or something on TikTok about Nike, Adidas, Puma, right? So they're just so fixated on these massive brands. And when you can sell them, that's great. But exactly like you said, it's like, there are so many other brands. And I think even in wholesale, I think it's even better to just go as niche as possible. And you will have not only more luck with suppliers, but just more luck with ungating, with more profitability, with less competition. But even in arbitrage, there are thousands and thousands of brands that you can source that are not named Nike and Adidas. And if you focus solely on Nike and Adidas, and that's like where your heart was set, it's like, you're going to have a really hard time, because there's blue oceans everywhere with a fraction of the competition than you will find on these big, massive brands. So I was glad that you mentioned that. Going back to that guy who hit the 10K month in 46 days, he did the exact same thing as you, and he's doing wholesale as well. And he's like, I just focused on like really small brands, and that's how I was able to get ungated, find good products, barely any competition. So that's definitely a path to success that you're following.
The small brands is definitely a big tip. Also, those small brands, if you buy enough from them, eventually you could call them and say, hey, I'm selling so much of your product. on Amazon, you can even mention it because there's going to be no secret about it. Can I open up an account with you? And at that point, maybe you might have your foot in the door a little bit more than somebody else that has never sold the product. Because at least you could back up your sales with invoices that you have from said supplier, and you could just go brand direct and get it from them. Might help you out in the long run.
Yeah, and then it becomes just a negotiation on price, right? I already know this product sells. I already have experience. I have the proof. And yeah, it just becomes a negotiation on price. Like, can we get, you're trying to just go back and forth on what's a profitable price. And yeah, that's something that a lot of people can do when they're doing arbitrage. And I think that's the best way to transition from arbitrage into wholesale. It's like you're already selling a bunch of different brands. Find the ones that do well that are a little bit smaller, and then see if you can reach out to suppliers.
The other day, I got a call from my rep, and he said he got a call from the brand. And the brand was asking who I was because they see me on the Amazon listing and who's selling to him. And luckily, my rep and that company have a really good relationship, and I was able to get approved as an authorized seller for the brand. So now I'm just going to start working on hopefully getting like brand registry and getting access to like subscribe and save and stuff like that. So luckily that worked out for me too, because if they would have kicked me off, I would have been stuck with a whole bunch of inventory that I have in my garage.
This is why we always say like relationships are so important in wholesale. It's like you got a relationship with your rep, stuff like this can work, right? If your rep doesn't even know who you are, or you've just been a nightmare to work with, they're probably not going to go up to bat for you. So this is like, that's why it's like wholesale is the people business. Like focus on those relationships however you can. But like something you said earlier, it's like the biggest thing is they want to see you spending money, right? They want to like you. You want to build a good relationship. But the only way to really get that relationship going is you got to spend money.
Yeah, you could be the nicest guy on earth, but if you're buying $500 a month compared to the guy that's buying, $10K a month in product, they're probably going to lean more towards the guy that's spending more money. You could be the nicest guy in the world, but if you're not spending money, they don't care.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So if someone is on the fence about joining the program, would you recommend the program? What are your thoughts around that? Kind of give me some of the thoughts around it.
100% I would recommend the program. And I say that because there's just so much information in the modules that you can't get on YouTube. I know you post like some videos, but that's very small compared to what's in the modules. And it's just like a little piece of it, but everything goes so in depth. And every question I've had, I haven't really asked that many questions in the group because every question that I've had, all I do is just go back into the modules and it answers them for me. So 100% I would recommend the program to anybody starting out. It's a small investment to what could be way bigger at the end of the day.
Yeah. And can you talk about like the one-on-one mentorship? Like that's probably something that people are the most skeptical about. Granted, the coaching space is kind of overrun with bad actors, but just kind of speak on your experience with the one-on-one. Did it work? Was I responsive? Were you actually talking to me? Kind of give me some of your thoughts.
Yeah, I know you're a busy guy, so I would shoot you a message and you would always reply. You would never leave me on red or anything. That was one thing you never did, was leave me on red. So you were always there when I had a question. If you had to voice message me, you would do that. That was also a really good thing that I always had you if I ever had a question, which I don't think I had many. Like I said, you had everything in the course and I would always just reference back to it instead of everything was in the module. So anytime I needed help, I just reference right back to them.
Yeah, you're the third call I've had where they've said the exact same thing. Carla and Christy, I just had an interview with Christy. They said the exact same thing. It's like there's so much information in the program. It's like you can really find pretty much everything that you need. And it's like the mentorship really fills in the gaps. But I think a big thing with the mentorship is it gives you confidence. So if you always have somebody you can turn to in case you're stuck on something or you don't know the answer to something.
Yeah.
Now, if you're tired of being on the YouTube hamster wheel, going from video to video endlessly every single day, and no matter how much time you put in your business, it's not looking the way that you expected, I want you to check out that first link in the description. That's my one-on-one mentorship program where you get to work with me directly and we help you build your business. Now, guys, I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people just like you and I build this business starting from zero. People who have no business experience whatsoever, no technical skills in this space, no e-commerce, never sold a single dollar online. online. Just like my client Murillo right here, he went from 0 to a 25K month with 6.2K in profit in his first 72 days, starting from nothing. This is Heber. He went from 0 to a 40K month with over 8K in profit in his first 106 days, starting from nothing, just like Murillo. This is Jose. He went from 0 to a 53K month in 112 days of joining my mentorship program. And these are just a few results. I have hundreds and hundreds of testimonials that have taken my mentorship program. We dive into their business, they get full access to me, and they follow the proven blueprint that leads to results. Guys, there is nothing wrong with trying to do this on your own. But if you value your time and you want to time collapse the learning curve and how long it's actually going to take you to build this business, a mentorship program is a no-brainer. Like, look, this is Dolly. Dolly tried to build this business for 6 months. And over the course of 6 months, she hit 10K in sales total. After 45 days of being in my mentorship program, she hit a 10K month. This is Mark. Mark also tried to build this business for months and months at a time, and he was stuck at about 1,000, 2,000 in sales. After 98 days of being in my mentorship program, he hit a 40K month. Now, we just hit a 12-month period since we've been working together, and he just crossed over $415,000 in sales. Last month alone, he hit just under 11K in profit for his business. So like I said, there's nothing wrong with doing it on your own, but it's definitely going to take you significantly longer, and you're learning lessons the hard way. Instead of learning from my mistakes or the mistakes of the people in the community and learning from the proven blueprint that we offer, you're learning those lessons on your own. And we call them hard lessons learned because it's going to cost you time, it's going to cost you money, it's going to cause you a lot of headache. So if you value your time and you want to time collapse the learning curve significantly, like I said, the mentorship program is a no-brainer. Do you want to take 18 to 24 months to figure this out on your own while we get people squared away in 90 days? The decision's really up to you. But if you guys have any questions, reach out to me on Instagram. I'll leave it linked right here on the screen or down below in the description. And if you guys want to join the mentorship program, grab one of those mentorship spots because they aren't going to be open forever. Go ahead and click that first link in the description and I'd be happy to help you. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.